Welcome to Fran Coach's Franchising 101 podcast series. Here we talk about all things franchising. What is it all about? Is it for you? How do you find the best one to own? And so much more. Now your host, Tim Parmeter.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of Fran Coach's Franchising 101 series. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of Fran Coach and your Franchising 101 host. Today, we are excited to bring you the January edition of our Franchisor Spotlight. In the Franchisor Spotlight, we feature one of our franchise partners, and we're going to spend the next 30 minutes or so getting a chance to take a deep dive, in this one literally and figuratively, into what they are all about. Our featured franchise today is an absolute fantastic one, and honestly, one that I wish I could be a customer of. They have multiple revenue streams, some of which are recurring, and all are done at the hands of a low investment and very low overhead. Before we tell you that story, let's tell you real quick who we are. And Fran Coach is a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals who are interested in owning a franchise. We are partnered with over 500 of the top franchisors in the country, spanning nearly 60 industries. Our goal is to help clients find the absolute best franchise for them to own. And the goal of the Franchising 101 series is to help educate people on all aspects of franchise ownership. So that is a little bit about us. But now let's get to the good stuff and bring our guest in, hopefully on one of these pink flamingo floaties in the background. But we have Mr. Roger Ewart. Roger is the franchise development manager for America's Swimming Pool Company. Roger, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Tim. Thanks so much for having me. Sorry I couldn't get into the floaty, but it was just a little too wet for the microphone.
That we don't want to electrocute anybody, so I don't know that our insurance is that good here for everything. So thanks for joining us, and you're coming to us from lovely and sunny Florida. How's everything going with you today?
Horrible weather today. I think it's about 74 and sunny. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, hey, today as we're doing this, I'm right down the street from you. I live in two sunny states of Florida and Arizona, back and forth. So it's like fake winter, as I like to call it, when we might need a hoodie once in a while, but that's about the extent of it in the winter. So
that's right. We're throwing on sweaters at 65 degrees down here.
Yes. For everybody listening elsewhere, sorry, but you don't have to live where you live. you can come on down south too. It's all good. We've got a bunch of stuff we want to talk to you about, man. And I'm just absolutely America's Swimming Pool Company, and I'm going with ASP because that's a lot shorter. Honestly, over the last year, probably one of our a little bit of a newer franchise in our portfolio of dang near 600 already. But we've just had an absolute amazing experience working with you, working with ASP. So very excited to have you guys come on, and thank you very much for joining us.
It's been an absolute joy and thrill. And I can tell anyone that's working with you, they've picked the right guy to work with. You're just fantastic.
Awesome. The check's in the mail, brother.
So no check needed.
We got a bunch of stuff I'm going to ask you, so buckle up. But sure. To start with, just obviously ASP, America's Swimming Pool Company, has something to do with swimming pools, but walk us through, maybe from a consumer perspective, all of the different services that you're providing and kind of who you're providing them for. What's that look like?
Sure. So it all started with pool maintenance, cleaning, and chemical balancing. The franchise evolved from there for the consumer that just needed basic weekly pool cleaning with monthly recurring payments is how the model works. All the way to service and repair. And obviously then we get into renovations, and now we're into construction. So the business has evolved over the last 16 years, and as we've grown and matured as a franchisor, obviously we've got a whole different plethora of support folks we'll talk about later, I'm sure, in place that are able to support the franchisee that in the end game, make sure that the consumer gets what they need. And this business, this vertical, I'll call it, is really fragmented. Lots of mom and pops. There's no one that compares to us in the country and what we do. Hyper organized, super professional, always wearing branded wear, as you always see me in every time we talk. Mm-hmm. And we're just family friendly. We do a great job, and those people come back. Our average customer typically for ASP will last 7 years. So that recurring revenue, once you acquire it, it's and our attrition rate is phenomenally low. So with that being said, it's a terrific recurring revenue model with a lot more involved in additional revenue streams. Once you gain those accounts, they're going to need to lean on you as the source for all those different items that they need done.
Yeah, and for anybody that maybe doesn't own a pool, you may not realize how important this is, but I've last 6-7 years, the homes I've owned, we've had a pool, and I am not a handy do-it-yourselfer. And I know the difference between having somebody that you can trust doing that. And the last couple of people I've tried on mine, like literally, like once we had a security camera, they said they were there, never showed up. One time we caught them, they were there, they walked around the pool one time and left, didn't touch it, right? And if I was like, if we were doing this in Arizona, like I would have like you had been out by the pool and you would have seen what it shouldn't look like at the moment, right? And it can go south in a hurry without proper care, and that's a big expense from having a pool to not have things, not have things working properly. So
absolutely.
So so that's all the different services, and obviously residential is a big market, but there's more than just residential as customer perhaps as well, right?
Absolutely. Every one of our franchisees, Tim, will be certified. And they will be able to work on commercial accounts, and that's after they leave pool school, which we'll probably touch on later. But we want to make sure that we've got every arrow in the quiver for our franchisees, not only to do residential but also large dollar commercial jobs. It's really a small part of our portfolio. We focus on holes in the backyard. We know that if a homeowner digs a hole in the backyard, they put a pool in it, there's all these things that won't happen for that pool. It won't clean itself, it won't maintain, repair, or renovate itself.
Right.
Those are the things that won't happen. And that's where we fill the gap.
Yep. And we talk about holes, right? There's it is a big hole, and it's a cool process seeing that done in your backyard. And then again, you want to make sure that it is properly taken care of.
Big investment.
So, yeah, no, without question. Right. And so you've got a wide range of services that you're able to provide. Right. So let's now touch on the business model a little bit. Just kind of give us an overview. Hey, is there just like, is there an office? What kind of staff? What do we really look for in an owner?
So we have many different perspectives on how an owner can do it. We are not you must have a square peg to fit in that square hole company. We will allow an owner to start out of their home and garage, depending that they can run a business out of their home. And we also have people who will go into renting a mixed-use space with a storage unit and a small office. We have owners that come in and they want to start the business and run it one man in a truck to begin, or chuck in a truck, we call them, one polars, right? And they want to start out, learn everything about the business, and then grow the routes and hire people as they go. And some end up scaling pretty quickly, and some take their time. And then I've got guys that are coming in who may have a GC license and they want to just go all out in this thing, and they want to bring in 3 and 4 and 5 trucks. I have a guy just talked to yesterday with 21 on a crew. So he's not fooling around. He's going to come in hot and heavy, and we can handle either or because we've got the folks on our team that have done all that. They've done the big, huge jobs and can handle 15, 20, 30 pools built a year. And then we've got the folks that have also started out as one man in a truck with his wife, or however it may work, as a couple, husband-wife team. It's a full-time commitment to run this franchise. And eventually, in 2 to 3 years, it can go to semi-absentee with a really well-trained and trusted general manager. And so the business model can start out of the home. It could be run mixed use. And, we have a goal. I have a goal to get every one of my franchise owners to $1 million within 3 to 4 years. And that's going to require 7 to 8 trucks. So scaling is what this is all about. We have the plan, the process and procedures, massive checklist company, by the way. If you find your clients are good with checklists,
yes,
you've seen my checklists, right?
I have, yes.
OCD, about it. And I make sure every candidate is completely aware of every step in the process along the path, and weekly call. I mean, we're really tight.
Yeah.
And that's the expectation that I set, that they should understand that they're going to get that level of support when they come on board. So there's no things to be missed. And if they can follow those checklists, all they have to do is rinse and repeat. right? And that's what franchising should be about. When it comes to this business, it's a 2 to 3 year business. That's when the revenues seriously start to kick in, because you've got the number of maintenance accounts that you really hoped for, hopefully, at that point, if you're working really full time in the business. And you can be quite happy with where you are if you can get to the 7 or 8 truck point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the kind of the flexibility. And so for every person that might hear the, how would you say that, the one polar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
person starting out by themselves, somebody may hear that and go, oh no, that's not me. I don't want to do that. That's great. Bring on, like you mentioned, the other person, bring on the technicians right away. But some people really like that. And I think it's one of the beauties of franchising is, if you are comfortable with maybe what seems like to others a smaller business and it meets your goals and you're happy, great, right?
That's fine. That's
if
right.
you want to own a whole metro market and have somebody maybe hearing 7 trucks, I don't want 7, I want 10, I want 15. You can build it and scale it to whatever you want. And so much of this is the recurring revenue model. So as as you've mentioned to me in the past, the average customer stays with you for, would you say 7 years, right?
7 years.
It's incredible.
With a very low attrition rate.
Yeah, and that's incredible. And one of the big things that I think I've been really impressed with ASP is, like, there's nothing missed with the process, and the support for franchise owners is overwhelming. And one of the things I like is, so let's say if there's somebody out there listening, like, okay, this sounds like a cool business, but I don't own a pool. I don't know how to swim. I don't know anything about pools. Could they be an owner? How would somebody that's never done this, right? They're going to be pretty hands-on with this at the beginning. Talk a little bit about what's being done to help them with this.
Absolutely. And you almost just painted the picture of a franchise that I awarded to this incredible guy. Came from Wall Street, literally, no pool, and I don't think he swims. And he is a very successful operating owner of this day, let me assure you. There's no swimming required. It would be nice to be able to stand up in the pool. You don't really have to go underwater unless you're doing, leak checking, and that's something we subcontract out. But no, so we actually prefer when people do not have pool industry experience for one reason, which is we're starting with a blank slate. I know that we've had many conversations, Tim, but one of the aha moments when I first came on board some time ago, obviously long ago with the brand, was entering pool school as an observer in the back of the room, and the new owners are introducing themselves, and there's a fellow in the front, and Chris is his name. Chris said, I've never picked up a power drill in my life. And initially my heart kind of palpitated, like, oh my golly, that's not going to be easy for this fella, Well, what I didn't know at the time is he was the financial investor and marketer. He was not going to be out. The other partner was doing really the work. Well, by the second week of training, it's a 2-week training school. And by the second week, I fly back for the second week, and he is installing pool pumps, heating systems. He's got the plumbing going, the electric going, the timers, you name it, filtration. And I'm just sitting there going, what on earth? I looked at the instructor, and I said, Matt, the instructor, I said, how'd you do that? Did you help him? And he said, no, he went home every single night and studied. And he came in his hotel room instead of going out to the bar with the other franchisees or whatever. And he came back and he just rocked it out. And this guy turned to me and said, Roger, would you do me one favor and take a quick video, because my partner will never believe this. And I said, you betcha. And that was one of the most rewarding. It was very telling to me about our support and training. And so anybody who thinks that you're going to be intimidated, you got to be able to get your hands dirty and not be afraid. Okay. So there's that. And if you're not afraid to learn it, then we will teach you, and you become the teacher at that point. You're going to have to do some of this stuff to get your expertise level down in order to become the teacher. That's our responsibility to teach you.
Right. Which, and again, I always go back to some basic things like, McDonald's owners don't spend all day long making French fries, right?
Good.
But are they going to learn how to make the French fries?
Probably.
Yes, they are. They might even taste one, right, once in a while, right? So they are going to do that. So again, the how comprehensive me personally, I love that you guys call it pool school, right? So I think that's really fun. Cool with that.
Sure.
But talk about some of the other things support wise that you guys are doing for the owners. And a couple of things up on the screen, but there's so much more than this. So and again, I just, from my perspective, I've been blown away by how much you guys are doing. So really take us through a little bit of that.
Sure. So, we talked briefly about pool school. Obviously, that's a 2-week course, 1 day off. It's kind of like boot camp for pools, if you will. It's very intense, and their sponges will be full by the time they leave. Additional support that's really important to know about any franchise, really. We've got a franchise advisory council. Our peer-to-peer support is important. Every one of these franchisees that come to pool school is held by the hand by the trainer that they went to school with for an entire year.
Wow.
These are people who have forgotten more about pools than I know. They have built more pools, renovated, repaired, conditioned, and they're just two incredible guys. They're highly certified pool contractors as well as certified pool operators. They're very, very seasoned and experienced. I think about 35 years of experience in the pool industry combined between the two of them. So that's probably the number one. And every franchisee I talk to say, these guys are why I'm successful today. Because you're not going to learn everything in pool school. We're not going to dance around about that. We know we can only cram so much into your brain in 2 weeks, but the ongoing support is the most important part. We also have on a peer-to-peer network, we've hired good, solid, professional franchisees that are highly successful to be your coaches as well. So as you graduate out of the support staff taking you on and cradle to grave, right, your second year, you're going to be assigned a support advisor. And we've got a person who's a pool guy who can talk QuickBooks, who's a CPA, right?
Nice.
We've got 7 people on staff who are franchise owners who coach, guide, and train you. That's a little bit different, a little different approach.
Yep.
Rather than some fellow who came from pizza and says he knows how to help you operate a pool franchise. That's just not the case.
Right.
So that's what we'll provide.
Well, you and I may know somebody that is coming from pizza that's here in a couple of days. Hopefully we'll be awarded a pool franchise, and maybe 5 years from now he'll be that trusted advisor. But one of the things
he absolutely will. I guarantee that. He's that guy. Incredible candidate, by the way.
Without question. One of the pieces of the puzzle. So for anybody listening to this, maybe hasn't gone through this, as we take our clients through and they start talking to franchisors like Roger and ASP, it's a 6 to 8 week process, and you'll get to a point towards the end where you get to talk to existing franchise owners. There are some franchises that may have a couple hundred franchise owners, but like, hey, you only talk to these 2 or 3 because the rest of them hate it, right? And then there are ones that are incredibly transparent about it, right? And then sometimes you don't know what you're going to get with the owners. The experience we've had with ASP, not only is that owner validation been just through the roof amazing, but how collaborative it is. Whereas we've had a couple of people now go through this, and every single owner has said, hey, if you come on board, call me if you need anything else. Really, and again, from somebody who's been doing this for 7+ years, that's not always the case, man. And that speaks volumes about, again, the support and the culture you have. So again, it's not just the franchisor helping. You've got owners in every stage along the way in every part of the country that are going to go, hey, call me. What can I do for that? I mean, kudos to you guys for that, because that's fantastic.
Thanks. That's what we call the ASP family. One of the things that people coming out of, military or career, they have a body and a network and a support structure, which they're afraid to leave at some points, right? And what I can reassure them is that you're going to have that within your network, not only within your network, but within HQ, right? All the staff there. Right. So, they're going to help you with things that you'd never dreamed of before, shared resources. What did I do poorly when I started that you can avoid, and so forth? They're going to help with those kind of things. And it's an ongoing coaching, guiding, training.
Yeah. And people can preach, hey, it's family culture. It's all these things. Well, we all have families, like real life families, that sometimes they suck at communicating with one another, right? Or they don't really like one another, right?
Never seen that happen.
My sister's listening. Hi, Tara. Right.
Oh.
So, right. So those things happen. Same thing in the franchisor standpoint, right? But again, just been blown away by that. One of the other things, and I think it's called, correct me, but I think it's called BIMAX, right? So I always get the question from people, let's just swimming pools. Why can't I do that myself? Well, you could, But some of the things we got up on the screen now, right? The scheduling, the vehicle tracking, the route optimization, some of the software things in place, some of the things from a, website SEO, but also that buying power of everything that you need to buy from an equipment perspective. You guys have that all packaged up, and you're getting it for significantly less than maybe just me and you would like walk in and off the street. Talk about a little bit more some of those things as well to really help a franchisee be successful.
Sure. Well, being large and so forth, we've got so many of our owners with so many trucks. Obviously, that's huge buying power when it comes to, for instance, negotiating a commercial lease. No resident can ever negotiate the truck leases that we get because we're buying or leasing thousands a year from these dealers. So we have diamond dealer level agreements, and we do all the negotiating for you. You don't have to think through that. All the vendors are set up. Anything from gas cards to maintenance programs. If your fleet gets to be that big to need a maintenance program, and some of our franchisees have had up to 60 trucks, so that's pretty significant. And some of our largest within the Authority Brands umbrella in the trades will have up to 200. So we've got some pretty incredible buying power with 10 brands, and can't even count how many thousands of trucks that are involved and vans and so forth. So with that, we'll be able to leverage that and say, look, we know what our franchise requires. The franchises are going to need, this kind of volume, and they give us a deep discount further than anyone can really get because of the contracts. And that's their sole job. That division of Authority Brands, that is their sole job, is to negotiate everything: healthcare, gas cards, fuel, you name it, whatever it may be, all the way down to vehicle insurance, technology. Even if you get to have big enough that you need a call center, they'll have technology packages, you name it.
Which, and I don't want to go too far into this because I want to focus on ASP, and maybe we can get one of the gang back from Authority Brands. But ASP has a parent company, and this is not like super uncommon in franchising, but something as big and powerful as Authority Brands is the parent company, and there's 9 other besides ASP right underneath that umbrella. So again, when it's not just the ASP owner that has 7 vehicles, 10 vehicles, whatever, it's the, Mr. Sparky dude that's got 25. What's the one down just south of where you are in Florida? Like that dude's got like 25, 30 vehicles all over the place, right?
Keep going.
Right.
He's got a lot more than that.
So they're everywhere, and you've got all of those everywhere else. And so again, it's always kind of chuckle when somebody's like, well, couldn't I do it myself? Yeah, you could, right? But what are the advantages? And again, you talk about the software to know where's your technician at whatever moment, almost like Uber-esque, or things like just simply a website, how to optimize it, how to market, all the different marketing things to make your phone ring. You guys have all of those things in place for the owner. So
absolutely.
So there's not much, like in some ways it's almost like, well, what the heck does the owner do, right? And I'm guessing one of the things you're really going to want them to do and kind of coach them on is kind of that networking in the community, really being kind of a kind of front-facing individual, creating that awareness. And anything, I think, home service, there's so many different referral networks that you can have back and forth. How big is that for somebody as an owner?
So, we have incredibly effective marketing. Our direct mail, because we know where every pool in the area in which you would possibly acquire, if they're looking for a particular specific area, we know exactly the home address. So we utilize mailers because we go direct to the consumer. Right. Digital's great, and we're very powerful with digital. We've got you don't have to worry about any of that. Your website set up, your Facebook set up. We do all that for you. We want to see you post locally and so forth and all like this. We'll coach to that, but that's kind of ancillary marketing, right? Boots on the ground is not all that much, not a big percentage of their daily lives, if you will. But we definitely do some of that, whether it be door hangers, et cetera, some of the strategies and tactics that any company with guerrilla marketing would implement. Right. A day in the life of the owner might be a good subject to talk about. When an owner gets to a point in the 3, 4, 5 year zone, as I call it, that's where you should be having a really good time as an owner, right? You're not working you're working on the business at that point. And a prime example is a highly, I won't say the name, but a very successful franchisee who his schedule is 7:30 to 4:30 Monday through Thursday. and he's off at 7:30 to noon on Friday, and that's his life. Weekends off. This is a lifestyle business. And
Right.
while a new owner shouldn't expect to have that easy schedule to start, if they're serious and want to grow to that guy's success level, right? Because the first 2 or 3 years, this guy went all to the wall and making sure that he did everything possible to grow his business. And now he's got a responsible GM in place who's really running the operation for him, and he's able to play and have fun, enjoy his wife and kids, and
Right.
live out the dream, the American dream, which is America's swimming pool company, right? For him.
It is, and it's the lifestyle, right? This is not
That's right.
this isn't McDonald's that might be open
No,
24/7
this is horrible.
or
I mean, look
every
at
day.
this. This is
Right?
a terrible environment behind me,
Right. And again, you're not going to people's houses. It's 8 o'clock at night to clean the pool, right?
That's
There's
right.
rarely going to be an emergency, right?
That's right.
With this, right?
That's right.
So you've got all this. And so we've got multiple revenue streams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the main ones are either recurring or really big ticket, right? So we're good on either side of that. We could have home office or really small, very, very low overhead. Easy to kind of train your staff and build this up. So you got all these amazing things. What's this look like from a high level, looking at what an investment might be?
Sure. So it can range anywhere from about $84,000 to $200,000. If you're a veteran, it can be less than that because you'll get a veterans discount. That's something we do honor. We love our veterans. It's America's swimming pool company after all. So we're kind of red, white, and blue here. Love our patriotic veterans. So we take care of them and give you a 30% discount. We are happy to help our veterans, and we want them in our system because they know operational excellence. They know how to flawlessly execute when we give them a plan. So welcome and encourage them to come. So, it really is going to depend upon where they want to be. Do they want to be a single owner operator to start, or is that guy with 4 or 5 trucks coming in with a big vision? We let you pick and choose. This is not, a sub franchise, for instance, where if you don't use 1 scoop of mayonnaise, you're not a franchisee here. This is, look, if you like the maintenance part of this, and I've got some owners who just want to do maintenance and repairs. They don't want to do construction. We're okay with that. We're not going to force them to do anything. If you just like construction, you want to then maintain the ones. I don't advise it because I think it's important to have a balanced portfolio. In particular, that's how we look at those 5 revenue streams. So we'll coach to that, but they can kind of pick and choose what they really want to do. So if they fall in love with one particular fashion or 2 or 3 out of the 5, we're good with it. So long as they're happy with their income. I've had, folks come up to me and say, Roger, I'm really, really good with 4 or 5 trucks at this point. That's all the income I need at this point in my life. And I'm happy. And I, of course, for their sake and for ours, I want to see their growth and so forth, but they're happy. And why would you ever kick a good franchisee out of the business? You don't. You just let them go and have, if that's where you're happy, that's great. I'm going to encourage you, inspire you. But if that's where you're happy now, the ones that are like, look, I want more, more, more. Right. I'm a fan of, if you're not growing, you're shrinking. So I encourage all of our franchisees to always think about next year and how just a little bit of growth can possibly occur. And who doesn't want to see their income grow? I don't know.
Right. But it's, I think it's kind of one of the hidden things with franchising. We did a podcast episode not too long ago, and I always call it the floor. You control the floor, you control the ceiling, and you don't do that as an employee, right? We just rolled into January, right? In December, all those employees, let's have our year end, blah, blah, blah. Hey, Roger, you did a great job this year. And meanwhile, you're as the employer thinking, yeah, I'm good right where I am. And they're like, no, we need to increase by 20%, right? Which means more time and all this. You as a franchise owner, if you finished 2021 and you are really comfortable with the time you're spending, the money you're making, nobody's going to hound you about, hey, we need 20% more. Now, if you go back to the franchise and go, yeah, that was good. How do I increase 20%? Now we've got all of those things in place. And again, just goes back to that control. We want money, but more than anything, and I'm sure the same for you, like people want the lifestyle and
happiness,
control over that. And oh my, is this a lifestyle business? And so cool. And I know you're super busy because so many people are excited about this as well. But I want to be respectful of your time. And I thank you so much. I got one more question I want to fire at you. And part of this is probably this other thing that comes up from a lifestyle perspective with you guys. So is there anything else you would want us to know about ASP that maybe we haven't already talked about?
Well, sure. It's kind of interesting. We actually, when it first started, it was going to be a retail model. And there was plans for that retail model, and there's a few segment competitors out there who do the retail thing. And when it came to it, when we launched big time into franchising, the economy had been hurt quite significantly in the '08 time period, and that really didn't work out well for the retail. So with that being said, it remained home based and or that mixed use, and we cut the overhead of that expensive retail location.
Right.
That was very problematic because rent doesn't stop just because the economy does. You still have to pay your rent or you're out of business, right? Employees, all that payroll going on, and insurance and so forth. So that's where, while we have the ability to do that, and we have a few of our locations who do have small retail, but not Chotsky's. We don't want to compete against Amazon. We can't.
Right.
Nobody can. So we're not going to get into that business. We're going to go into essential businesses, which is what we are, right? During the pandemic, zero shutdowns for us. We are essential. Pools don't clean themselves. They had to be done.
Right.
And so we have been thriving in the last 2 years, which I hate to say other businesses that haven't,
Right.
but this has been a tremendous run for us. And quite frankly, if you're a tenacious person that really has the ability to get that level of energy up to make this business happen for, a 2 to 3 year grind, you're going to be very pleased at where you end up if you work hard.
Yeah, without question.
Yep.
Yeah, and just how many the pools don't clean themselves, but how many people decided over the last 2 years that they wanted a pool, right? Or all of those type of things that you're adding in. So one of the things I totally lied. I've got one other question for you.
Okay.
You and I live in nice warm weather states of Arizona and Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can these things only be in warm weather? Oh my gosh, it's seasonal perhaps in some other places, right? And that word seasonality sometimes comes off. People think that's a negative. But maybe give us just a little taste of that. You're all over the country with these locations. How does the weather affect this?
Right. Well, most people don't swim in their pools in the winter. That's what I know.
Right.
I don't like to get into it when it's cool down here in Florida. But what I can tell you is that Florida, from the rate that we get, because of the size of our pools are very small, right? And they're open 12 months all year round. So everybody thinks, well, that's a seasonal business, right? Or, the headquarters is in Georgia, kind of the same thing. But wait a minute, they shut down pools in Georgia, and that's where it all started.
Right.
So it's what we call a shutdown climate, right? They close pools in October in Georgia, and they open them back up in April, May. So we have just awarded in New York. We're looking at Michigan right now. If there's a pool, it needs service. Number one. Number two is that the dollar amount that you get for a northern pool is so far greater than a Florida pool. You can be doing half of the pools because they're larger, they need more chemicals, and there's a short season. You'll do half of the pools for half of the year with the same revenue.
Yep.
So there's additional revenue streams too for our northern brethren, as we call them, where you'll actually obtain pool opening season fees as well as winterizing fees, and all your construction is in the wintertime, or go fishing or hunting like some of our franchisees honestly do. I have one guy who said, I got a cabin in the mountains and that's what my winter's going to be like. And I said, God bless you, go ahead.
Yeah. In some ways that seasonality, okay, enjoy maybe a little slower time, but there's still marketing. There's still, and again, what I pay in my last house in Gilbert, Arizona for the pool was paying $75 a month for that, right? What's going right in the north, right? Maybe $400 or $500 a month, right?
That's right.
Again, just totally different thing. So that does come up, but it really, not only is it not a bad thing, like I think many people look at that and go, oh, that's right. And again, if you can make in maybe 7 months in a northern state, you can make the same as you're making in Florida in 12 months. Like, that ain't bad either, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, some of our northern ones will make the same as the southern one in maintenance in 5 months. So it's phenomenal, And again, what do you do with the rest of the year? And we have suggestions and ideas, not just taking vacations, of course, but surprisingly enough, and that's good too. It's lifestyle, right? What do you want?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I think that has been surprising for us as a franchise with our northern locations is how busy they stay late into the fall with renovations and repairs, which was kind of surprising to us. But you think about it, we've already drained the pool. We can do the work. It's a little chilly out, but people up north, they still they still do these things. It's not
Right.
like Florida where, 65
Right.
degrees and we're putting on a sweater, right? Yeah. They're looking at us laughing.
Right. Exactly. Right. That's the only time you can, you go somewhere. We were at right before Christmas, we were at Universal for a day with our kids, and you just look around and you see who's from the north and who's from the south, right? It was maybe like in the 60s, and I'm in jeans and a jacket, and here's somebody over here with shorts and a t-shirt on, and meanwhile I'm still a little chilly with the jacket. So we get soft down here in the south, and it's just not the case up there.
We sure do. But we love our franchisees, soft. Whether they're So there's a difference there too, which is you've got a 12-month operating business in the south and 5 to 7 months up north.
Yep.
So it's really a determination, like, what do I want to be when I grow up? Can I do something else during the winter that complements this business? And we have some solutions for people there as well.
Right. Awesome, Roger, man. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate your time and talking with us all about America's Swimming Pool Company. So thanks so much for joining us.
Pleasure's been all mine. You're a great host. Thanks so much, Tim.
You are welcome, my friend. And thanks for everybody else for joining us and getting educated about America's Swimming Pool Company. If you'd like to learn more about becoming a franchise owner, whether it's for ASP or any of the 500 plus franchisors we are partnered with, let's schedule a brief introductory call. Find us online at francoach.net, any of the social media sites out there. And then, of course, for our podcast listeners, tune in everywhere as well. We're on about 15. If you can find a podcast platform, I guarantee you we're there. Check us out there so you don't miss any amazing episodes. Thanks again, everyone. And again, want to learn more about this, please reach out to us. There's never any fee for our service. We encourage you to take that first step today to help create your better tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe, and we hope to talk soon.
Thanks for listening to Fran Coach's Franchising 101 podcast, where our ultimate goal is to help educate you on all things franchising so you can create your better tomorrow.